Hello, everybody. My name is Xavier Merced. I am a senior fitness and wellness major, and I'm also a TA for PED319. And today I'm going to be running through chapter 10 with you guys. So I'm going to share my screen right here. There you go. All right, so chapter 10, postural control mechanisms. Start. Let me full screen this for you. There you go. Okay, so these are the objectives and questions that you guys should be thinking as we go through and how they relate to what you're learning. So just to read off a few of them, what are the relationships among tone, posture control, and skilled movement? What is the role of neutral mechanism systems regulating muscle tone? What are postural control, particularly in reference to concepts and alignment and stability? And then you have two more, not two more, but you have a few more questions. So what is the four major components of producing posture control and their contributions? You have two more after this. What are the differences between reactive and proactive posture control? And what are the problems and issues with postural and balance measurement? All right, so let's start. Posture control. So just to read you what is defined as posture control is defined as a maintenance of the body alignment and spatial orientation in order to put the body in position to enable effective movements. So in simpler terms, this is just saying what posture control is. Posture control is just a way for the body to remain, to give itself stability and keep it, and just to keep itself balanced in a way. So to keep you upright, to keep you balanced, to keep you from falling over. And this is just your body's way of doing that by itself in that aspect. And then further on in the chapter, we'll also talk about the different variables that go along with postural control and how that works. So posture control and muscle tone, they go kind of hand in hand. So muscle tone, muscle tone serves as a base level of muscle activity for postural called postural tone. So basically what the muscle tone is referring to is the stiffness or elasticity of the muscles when things happen. So for example, when you're walking around or when you're jumping, that things might start to stiffen up so that you are able to perform those actions at hand, or your body will start to be lax so it can give a little bit so maybe things don't break. They're like, you know how you say bend don't break? It's similar to that. So your body consciously is stiffening or elastating muscles so that you can perform certain actions, and that plays hand in hand with your postural control. Keep going. So this is just an example. The posture control and the vertebral muscle stiffening the column leg guide wires to prevent itself from buckling under forces. So that's more of an example when, say you're picking something up that's really heavy. So say I'm picking up a really heavy box and I have to like lift it over my head. So posture control and muscle tone. So they're playing hand in hand because now my muscles have to stiffen up my back. So my body just doesn't, so my body has to stiffen, the muscle tone is stiffening up in my back, and that plays in hand with postural control because my body's telling me this is heavy, so things have to stiffen up so I don't collapse under the weight, if that makes sense. Similar to this, continue, they have an example with the heel. So which is just stiffening. Stiffness regulates the storage and release of aesthetic energy, such as the calf muscle during heel strike. So the example is just showing you, so when you're on your body, when you're walking around, if your muscles are really lax and have no stiffness to them, or they're not being stiff at all, your heel strike is going to be really intense. It's always going to hit the ground very hard. Vice versa with a stiff muscle tone in your calf, that your heel strike might not even connect with the ground at all. So same thing, just passive and active muscle tone. More examples of postural control muscle tone. Tone supports posture and both support goal directed movement. So basically what it's saying is that overall they're both aiming for the same thing, similar to kind of like the back example, how both of those play a part in order for you to complete the task at hand. And these are just two examples, one of good tone and posture and the other one of poor tone and posture, and how both when they're playing at hand, that the task will be performed adequately, if that makes sense. Posture control purposes. So posture control leads to alignment and orientation. So the whole point of posture control overall is just to make sure your body stays stable. That and whatever it's doing is that your body stays aligned. It doesn't just sway all over the place. That your body can just move around on a daily basis in an adequate fashion, and you stay upright and you're able to maneuver around and just perform certain daily activities. So let me see. Well, so this is a good example. Like it says, the main outcome, like I was just saying, the main outcome of alignment and orientation is stability. So this is a perfect example of how posture control and stability is maximized in a sport like cheerleading, where your body needs supreme balance, especially if you're a flyer and you're being thrown in the air constantly and you're asked to balance yourselves on just one leg with other people under you, and how much body control that takes. For example, your body has to also maintain a lot of like disruptions and has to somehow balance all of that out. So the whole outcome of posture control is just to remain stable and keep your body in a stable position to keep yourself safe. Same thing continued. I think did I already mention this? Yeah, I already mentioned this. It's three components in some systems. So it's just talking about still static balance and dynamic balance. So static balance is just like when you're standing still so you don't fall over, and then dynamic balance is just in terms of like when you're moving around, running, jumping, doing activity, flying, you're thrown in the air, like that your body doesn't let itself destabilize and it keeps itself together. Yeah, pretty much it. Researching posture control. So there's a lot of research that involved, and like I said, everybody's body reacts somewhat differently, but in this but in most cases your body still can be tested, and then some people react better than others. Some people bodies react faster than others and stiffen up faster than others, and or elastate faster than others or slower than others. So they're able to test that with like lab tests and things like that. And later on in the slide, we'll teach you how some of these things are measured, and there's still just further research later on maybe how to improve people's posture control, or is it getting worse or better over just periods of years? Mechanisms of posture control. So the different mechanisms of posture control are sensory systems, neuromuscular components, muscular mechanical components, and central nervous system components. This is just an example of posture control, and then all the things involved. It's just giving you a quick graph, and not graph, but quick picture example of of what's involved when somebody would be doing an activity such as she is. Sensory systems. Okay, so visual sensor, subtle sensory and vestibular systems detect postural changes to provide rapid postural correction through reflexes. So basically, is basically using your sensory systems to provide feedback to your body when something needs to change or something needs to happen. So, for example, if I say I'm walking and I'm about to step on a nail, and the minute I realize I see the nail and I'm about to step on it, so I know my visual inputs are telling me that I have to react so I don't step on the nail, and my body's gonna try to maintain its balance but also avoid the nail at the same exact time. So that's your sensory systems telling you to still maintain postural control but also avoid the nail. If that makes sense. Neuromuscular systems. So neuromuscular systems refer to those muscles with large postural roles, such as abdominal muscles and biomechanical constraints. So a lot is involved on if your muscles can even do certain tasks. So your body also knows how strong you are, and then what you can avoid and what can't avoid. So, not saying that you're gonna hit everything that happens, but your body knows to you can't maintain postural control if your legs aren't strong enough to turn yourself out the way, or if I'm picking something up, if my body can't pick it up, it's gonna let me know that this is too heavy, and that I won't be able to maintain postural control as I walk around with it. So it's a lot about joint health and abdominal strength, not abdominal strength, but just strength in general. That is involved in your postural control. Neuromuscular control. Neuromuscular components comprise of synergies that provide postural control. So this is so the example it gives is science specific patterns of spinal muscle activation that in preparation for catching a heavy object or learn landing actions during a fall. So for example, it's just using what his body is used to when he's about to fall down, or how his body is going to fall down. So it's just it's the patterns that you always do, that your body starts to remember, and then your postural control starts to go along with that, because you know how your postural control knows how it's going to react when something like that happens. Central nervous system. So your central nervous system oversees all postural control mechanisms subconsciously and consciously. So this is one is probably the most self-explanatory, that your or the easiest to explain. An example that your central nervous system controls each and every part of all the other systems. So I think the example used here is that if you're walking on ice. So have you ever walked on ice and you notice that you have to stiffen your body really tight, or you walk really rigid because you don't want to fall on the ice? That's involved in your postural control. Your body is stiffening up so it doesn't fall on the ice. Because now, and vice versa, if your body gave more and was more elastic, that you would just fall because your body's not preparing itself to be stable on ice. If that makes sense. But your central nervous system inputs all of those things, and involve you from your sensory to neuromuscular. It's telling you each and every part of the aspect. Like it plays the biggest role in all of it. Same thing that no. So this is a continuing part of the central nervous system. Proactive nervous system is your body preparing for anticipated disturbances. So if I see there's ice, for example, using the same example, if I see there's ice, I'm telling my body beforehand that I'm going to have to stiffen up, and I already start stiffening up to before I get on the ice, so that I don't fall on the ice. Reactive postural occurs in response to postural disturbances. So say I'm already walking on ice, didn't notice there was ice. Say there's like black ice, for example, whereas ice, you don't see it. And I walk on it, and the minute my foot starts to slip, automatically postural control starts to kick in, because you don't want me to fall. And I'm reacting now to stay upright and stable. So levels of postural control. 4 systems that contribute to 3 levels of postural control is reflexive, automatic, and involuntary. We're going to break down all of these. We're going to break down all of these in their own slides. But just one thing to know with all of them is that they all work simultaneously. So there is never a time where one is not working at all. But so since they're all working simultaneously, there are moments where one is working to a higher extent than another one, even though they're all working simultaneously. So reflexive postural control is primarily the function of sensory, vestibular, and visual systems. So this is similar to what we were talking about before about reflexive. So this is your body reacting and undergoing the corrections needed to keep itself stable when stuff happens. So when it's reacting to something like the ice, or somebody threw something, you have to catch it. So this is just explaining your body is reacting to things. Your body adjusting to the reaction of things, and the levels of it, and what it actually does to undergo. And then it shows down here. I don't know if you can see the little example here. So limb it shows the step and what is doing first to regain its postural control in certain scenarios. So right here, the example, riding reflexes to maintain an upright head and overall postural stability. So it's telling you step-by-step order on how the body has to regain its control on certain aspects. But the main thing to remember about reflexive is that it's reactive corrections only. So it's reacting to something is reflexive. Automatic. So I think automatic is the one that most of us know how to do. So, well, that most of us do subconsciously, I guess, is automatic postural control involves innate learned behaviors that provide subconscious corrections that are fast and task specific. So I think we've all had moments where, not moments, we all had things that like that we do that are innate, that we've already learned and that we just never forget. So for example, we have the man on the bike. All of us have, well, let me say all of us, not everybody knows how to ride a bike, but if you ever ridden the bike and learned how to ride a bike and then rode a bike for years, if you take a break and stop learning how to ride a bike, you're still, when you jump back on 20 years later, your body still knows the postural control and the innate learned behaviors subconsciously to keep you stable on a bike because you've learned how to ride a bike. So it'll keep you, your postural control, you'll stay balanced on two wheels and learn how to pedal and keep yourself balanced. That's something you don't forget. And I think that's why the bike example was perfect, because it's something it's something learned, and it's something that your posture control always going to remember automatically without you having to relearn how to ride a bike. And just to add a little tidbit, like it says on the bottom, it involves all systems because, like I said, everything still is simultaneous, but mostly neuromuscular, which is your body and you pedaling and your brain telling your body what to do, and the central nervous system, like I said, plays a part in each and every role. So voluntary, voluntary postural control involves postural adjustments made by conscious awareness. So, just like it says, it is you telling yourself something needs to change so you can complete a task. So, like the example here, the woman is working out, and she understands the workout is hard, and she knows what her body needs to do to complete the task at hand. So I can't even tell what she's doing, but what it looks like she's doing is that she's pushing against the rope and she's using her legs to do so. So these exercises may continuously stiffen trunk and leg muscles. So what it's saying is that she's telling herself that she needs to strengthen her legs and her trunk to be able to complete the exercise at hand. And that goes involved with like everything else say if you play a sport, you tell yourself when you need to run faster, or maybe you're playing a physical sport when you know you're about to get hit. You're telling yourself you need to brace for the hit at hand so that you can remain stable and not fall over. Anything of that nature. Voluntary is in most basic sense is entirely a product of your central nervous system and your central nervous system telling yourself that this needs to happen to get the task done and to maintain posture control. All right. Yeah, you can skip this. Coordinate posture control mechanism levels. Yeah, so forward sway is mostly the property of gravity acting as a mass center. So this is just talking about sway and the levels of. Oh, actually, let me explain. Let me explain this first. So, how do the four mechanisms of three levels work together? So I'm just gonna read off to you how they work together. So, research on sway during quiet and protruded upright stance help answer the question. Our body sways like an introverted pendulum, and it is an intrinsic and necessary property of motor control system. Sway helps keep sonosensory, vestibular, and visual systems active. So basically, the sway in our body, so basically our body sways naturally, and we're always constantly keeping postural control mechanisms, and that we're never fully standing still, if that makes sense, but we're always having a form of balance. And so we never notice that we're we never notice that we're technically always moving and always swinging in that sense. Same thing is continuing, that we don't really notice that we're always moving, always swinging. kind of always going back and forth, but our body's always undergoing the posture control and keeping us upright. Fundamental posture control strategy. So these are just the strategies that you would use to keep yourself upright. So first, it falls under a fixed point and the change of support. So the fixed points are usually, like it says, ankle, hip, and subsensory. And then the change of support would be like stepping or reaching. And there's further examples just to show you. So for example, here, his fixed point is his ankles. Like it says, the ankle strategy provides the quickest way to maintain balance under normal circumstances, because your ankles are the closest to the ground, and adjusting those first will most likely help you maintain balance the fastest and maintain posture control the fastest. So even his fixing point is the ankle, and then he used the hip strategy as his change of support to help enable the correction and help the ankle strategy succeed, basically. So a little different from the fixed point. Example is sorry, y'all, my mouth dry. Suspensory is is him crouching his legs to maintain a better center of mass. So haven't you ever heard when people say like lowest man wins in certain sports? Is because the lower your center of gravity is, the better your postural control will be, because it's close to the ground to maintain balance. So right here, his suspensory, he's bending his legs on his fall so that he can keep his balance. And this is all kind of part of the same sequence. So he's bending his legs so that he can try and maintain he can try and recover his sense of gravity after using his ankle and his hips. Then he is also taking a step and using a stepping strategy to maintain, to also maintain his balance. For active posture control, it is, let me just read the first main part for you. Postural control actions are designed to react to destabilizations and prepare for anticipated disturbances. So this is similar to what we were talking about before, how your body reflexive posture mechanisms will only participate in reacting, which will only. So this is also you reacting to the things at hand. Is you reacting? So kind of put proactive together, and then your body is basically proactive and your body reacts together. So your proactive posture control, you're seeing it's happening, so now you're reacting beforehand, and now your body is anticipating how it's already going to react and how it's going to feel once it already gets to the point where your posture control is going to have to fix it. So it's kind of like an automatic response to what you think you're going to feel when your body has to adjust. Here's some visual inputs. So that's kind of the same thing. So proactive posture control comes from two basic forms. The first is the use of up-and-coming expected environmental circumstances or bodily actions to set posture mechanisms in action. Similar to what you're saying, so like something in the environment or something else up-and-coming that you see coming up is going to affect your mechanisms and actions that you're going to do. Like also is based on visual input, so you already saw it and your previous knowledge of what it is. So you can use that. So example for the ice, you see the ice, you know you have to step over the ice, you know you have to step on the ice, you know how your body's gonna react when you start to step on the ice, and so you're already adjusting beforehand. You're already adjusting your posture control before you even get to the ice, and because you already know that you can slip on ice from previous knowledge that you're gonna adjust. Then the second is anticipatory postural adjustments, which is called APA. APAs are postural movements that are paired with planned movements that are designed to stabilize joints, body segments, and whole body prior to the execution of motor skill. So, for example, when we use the ice again, when we get to the ice, because you already know that you can fall on ice and that you can slip on ice, and you've already seen it and your body's already starting to react, now I'm going to take little steps as my movement and my motor skill to maintain my postural control. So I know that the way to maintain it is to take little steps so I don't slip. This is just another example. AP is the 4 characteristics. They are modifiable through learning experience. They are adaptable conditions and context of movement. They're influenced by an individual's intention and emotional state. It can either be reactionary or anticipatory in order to minimize the body's displacement during voluntary movements. Yeah, self-explanatory. Cognitive involvement. Okay, so just to read it, posture control is mostly a background motor activity that works without a great deal of conscious awareness. So what it's basically saying is that you're like we explained before, posture control is something that your body automatically does by itself. You don't always have to tell it that this is going to happen unless you preemptively see something. Well, even when you preemptively see something, your body's still doing it by itself. You don't have to speak to yourself like, body, do this. Your body already is adjusting by itself once it sees something, and it adjusts. So basically what it's saying is that it's playing hand in hand with conscious awareness. So you're aware of certain things and disturbances that can happen that can interfere with it. And that's what's playing a part into why your posture control is reacting a certain way when it does. So you have to cognitively be aware of something for your posture control to react in general. Because if you're never consciously aware, if we weren't able to be conscious about our body maybe losing balance, or just our sway in general, if we were never conscious of it, then our body would never adjust. So yeah, that's basically it. Same thing here, just to continue. During postural threats, uncertainty, stress, voluntary postural control often takes over efficient. Sorry. So this is just the heights and no handrails right here are threats and lead to less efficient postural control. Because he's nervous that there's no handrails and he's so high in the air that his postural control is starting to be inefficient, because he doesn't know how to react to the sense of danger that's going on, and it's leading to him not being able to keep his balance. He starts to sway. So you can use a whole lot of other examples. Say you've been scared or something like that. Your body doesn't know how to adjust, and being under all that stress is not able to maintain and stabilize itself. The control model. So the complexity of different systems and different levels, and proactive versus reactive posture control can be illustrated in modeling posture control. So basically just the order and sequences of how your body is going to adjust and what it's going to do. So here is the actual model itself with feedback vision, and then you can see, in order if you follow the arrows, what your body is doing to step by step to maintain those to maintain its posture control. And it's kind of the similar things that we talked about: control of posture, stability, then body plan, how your body is going to adjust to it, posture networks, then execution, what I'm going to do to keep my body balanced, biomechanical outcomes. Okay, what happened when I try to do this? Then it gives feedback, and then it corrects it. Then if you look, it also says control of motor skills, which is also the conscious awareness while your postural control is going on. So the conscious awareness over here, and then muscle action skill, they all play a part. And like I said, it's still simultaneous. So it's going on all at the same time and in order. Measuring posture control. The way you measure posture control is through EMGs, so evaluate muscle activation. So direct measurement of posture control employs EMG to evaluate muscle activation patterns of postural support muscles during goal-directed movements, protruder movements, and during quiet stance. So basically, it's just a way for people to measure how good your postural control is by evaluating the activation of your muscles. So what is your muscles doing, and what is your body doing to maintain postural control? So most of the time, they'll ask you to do a certain movement, or they'll ask you to like maybe stand on one leg, or maybe like throw this ball, or just ask you to stand still and then notice the swing. And so, for example, if you're standing still, they'll measure how how balanced, how much is your body trying to balance itself from swaying. Measuring positive control, just like I said, they're asking him to fulfill certain movements, and they're measuring his body and how it's aligning and what it's doing to maintain its balance. Stability and balance measurement. You're also balancing your body. Okay, your stability and balance measure, same thing. They're measuring how easy and accessible your body can balance itself for a certain amount of time. So, we have examples here. So, time stance, such as like single leg stance duration, sway characteristics, and subjective compromise assessment of direction, magnitude, and velocity. So, I think we have further examples coming up. So, yeah, perfect. So, like so they're asking this man to stand on one leg, and they're seeing how they're taking pictures, and they're measuring his movements and what's tensing up, what's stiffening, what's elastic, what's starting to give, so that his body can maintain posture control in the setting that he's in the stance that he's in. Same thing with the woman leaning forward. They're measuring her muscle activation and what's starting to give and what her body's doing to start to keep posture control. Measuring, yep. This was, oh, I went back, sorry. Continued. This is just another test. The foam dome test evaluates problems with specific visual sensory mechanisms by subjectively evaluating sway during different sensory conditions. It's just another form where they do different tests with your eyes open, blindfolded, and on a dome, and then do the same thing on a phone and seeing how your body reacts. Same thing with the Equinox test is computerized balance system. It's better for maybe people who are a little bit older, like you see there's an older man in there who can't just be doing all the tests at hand because it will take a really toll on his body. And so that's it. We're at the summary. This is just explaining some of the key points that we talked about. Posture is a foundational movement system that's designed to prepare the body for purposeful movement. Talked about that. The outcome of postural control mechanisms are biomechanical alignment and environmental orientation. These outcomes contribute to stability, and orientation further contributes to optimize different information. Explain that, talked about that. Positive control is controlled by 3 levels. It's controlled at 3 levels: reflexive, automatic, voluntary. Remember, reflexive is reacting to things only. Automatic is learned behaviors that we already have, and that our body already is accustomed to. And voluntary is you telling yourself that you need to tighten or elastic, or you telling yourself that your posture control needs to change to complete the task at hand. Levels of postural control work through 4 systems. We talked about this: sensory, neuromuscular, and muscular, mechanical, and central nervous system. Remember, central nervous system is involved in each and every one of those, that it controls everything. It's just another summary, and that's it, y'all. Thank you. I appreciate you guys taking your time out to listen to me speak on it. Let me exit my share screen. Stop share. Thank you guys very much. I hope y'all have a great day. Bye.